Princess Zelda, beloved protagonist of the series of which she's named after. Even if she doesn't appear in every single game, or only appears for a brief moment, or isn't even playable in the canon games, she's still a name hard to forget. And let's be honest, any of us that played at a very young age at some point thought Link was Zelda. It's understandable considering the name of the game and the fact that you play as him and typically the story is about him. While Princess Zelda has gone by a few other titles, such as Sheik, Sage of Light, Tetra, or Goddess Hylia, one title she's never had in-game is Queen. Now this makes sense seeing as she's always so young in the games and typically the king is around. But even in games where the king is nowhere to be found and she's older, such as in Twilight Princess, the story of the game shows there's been too much happening for there to have been a coronation. It's safe to assume that in games like the aforementioned Twilight Princess, or towards the end of Ocarina of Time when she's older and we don't see the king anymore, that a bit post-game, Zelda was officially made Queen of Hyrule. But what about Breath of the Wild Zelda? You see, the whole reason I've been thinking about the idea of Zelda as queen is because I assumed that after Breath of the Wild, she would have of course been given the royal seat previously held by her mother and father. However, in Tears of the Kingdom, no such coronation has taken place as everyone still refers to her as princess. And it's been at least 5 years. So this begs the question, will this Zelda finally be made queen after the story of Tears of the Kingdom? This isn't really a theory of mine as much as it is a fun little discussion, so be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. So why wasn't she made queen after Breath of the Wild? I can think of a few good reasons. For one thing, she was only 17. Perhaps both she and other important parties such as Impa felt she needed to be a little older. Not to mention, she would have been greatly traumatized from her 100 years fighting Calamity Ganon from within the castle. It's completely fair to assume she needed some recovery time. There's also Zelda's priorities. One thing that makes her a great leader is her heart for the people of Hyrule. She wants to do the right thing. This leads her to very shortly after Breath of the Wild, already starting the journey towards healing her kingdom. We see this when she's with Link in the post-story scene, where she discusses issues with Vah Ruta and needing to go help and talk to the Zora King about Mipha. And in Tears of the Kingdom, we see all sorts of hints to how much work Zelda has put into restoring Hyrule. Efforts such as the school in Hateno Village, all the new building sites, the teams she has put together to continue the rebuilding efforts, furthering the tech research, and more. So, it's very possible that Zelda felt a coronation was not top concern. She already had the respect of the people, they were going to listen to her regardless of her title. Another reason could be because we don't know the specifics that go into a Hylian coronation. The biggest one could be that maybe she needs to be married. I have a theory video that I'll link up in the corner where I discuss the possibility that the bloodline is through Zelda's mother, not her father. And if it's true, then it could be that Zelda's mother didn't become queen until she married Rome. She also could have already been queen and then married him after, or married him before, and then she had to become queen because of the death of her parents. We'll never know. Maybe Zelda needs to accomplish certain things first. Maybe she needs to be older, like 25 years of age. And again, considering how confident the people of Hyrule are in their princess, the title is just a title. She basically is queen, just not in so many words. With all of this in mind, would she be made queen after Tears of the Kingdom? Well, I don't think right away. If 100 years fighting the Calamity was trying, then imagine tens of thousands of years as a dragon hiding above the clouds. Even if she said it was like a dream, dreams can feel very scarily real and cause you to want to wake up so badly from them. So who's to say she isn't absolutely beat? She'll need time for that. Age I don't really think is an issue. She's at least 22 in Tears of the Kingdom, and based on monarchies of our world, you usually only need to be 21. What about her priorities? Well, Hyrule is still in recovery, but she can continue that as queen. Who knows? Maybe at the time Tears of the Kingdom starts, the process of coronation had already been discussed and maybe even in the works, but paused for obvious reasons. It's not a stretch to say that officially making her title to be queen is a good priority. Now that the dust has settled and the dangers are gone, it's time. And another reason is that we learn in Tears of the Kingdom that there must be other kingdoms besides Hyrule. Considering Yona, Sidon's fiancé, comes from a different Zora's domain, and that Pen the Rito was never in Breath of the Wild and probably came from a different Rito village, it might be smart to make Zelda queen for reasons of foreign relations. You know, to be taken a tad more seriously. Just because Hylians respect her doesn't mean those of other kingdoms will. So let's say within a couple of years following Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda is made queen. What's the process? This is, of course, something we can only guess at, and I'm not well versed in the rituals of our world's monarchies, so forgive me in advance for how little detail there is here. One thing I do know is a lot goes into these ceremonies. As far as Zelda getting approved or something like that, I doubt that's an issue. She's old enough, mature enough, beloved by pretty much everyone, and by blood has rights to the throne. And I imagine the entire kingdom would turn up to watch this beautiful occasion. Of course, the actual ceremony itself would be a bit more private. Perhaps in a restored Temple of Time with only invited important parties. It would need to be celebrated by some sort of religious figure though. Maybe Impa could work? I'm not sure. I feel like a priest or priestess of Goddess Hylia would make the most sense, but there doesn't seem to be any of those. Unless I completely missed it, which is very possible. Again, we can only speculate and base off of what we know in our world. My thinking is something along the lines of what we see with the monarchy of England, but I'm not entirely sure. And finally, what would Zelda being made queen mean for the future? For one thing, it provides security. As previously stated, for Hylians it might just be a title, but in terms of bigger issues or foreign affairs, having the security of a queen head is vital. Not to mention the next generation of Hylians might not be too keen on being ruled by merely a princess. Zelda's queenship also keeps the door open for the goddess Hylia's bloodline to continue. Some will theorize with Link, but really, it's whomever the princess, or queen, gives her heart to in marriage. Just cause she's close to Link doesn't mean she's in love with him. She's still young and has some time for marriage and children. Speaking of children, did you watch this video I posted? I highly recommend you do so after you finish this one. Outside of this fantasy world and in the realm of lore, her continuing the royal bloodline in her queenship means more Zelda games that take place after the current end of the timeline. Yes, that old thing. I do take it seriously, and not seriously at the same time. That might not make any sense, but take it for what it is. In the end, it's pretty safe to assume that in practically every canon game in which Princess Zelda is in, will inevitably have her becoming queen sometime in the future of that world. I can't imagine Tears of the Kingdom Zelda would be any different, but it's fun to talk about and speculate concerning the details. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, please help the channel out by liking and subscribing to The Geekdom. I play Zelda games on stream as well, so stop by on Fridays around 11 AM Eastern Standard Time or Sundays at 7 PM Eastern Standard Time where you can game with me and other cool people. I mentioned a video of mine I just made and I'm going to mention it again. I dropped some bombshell news that there's going to be another apprentice in The Geekdom, Baby Geek. Check out the full video if you can and consider supporting Geek Husband and I in prayer and maybe even through Patreon or Streamlabs. Again, details about what's happening are in that video linked here. Speaking of Patreon, thank you so much to all of my patrons who pledge their support every month. With a special thanks to 2 patrons who recently increased their pledge, Massimo and Sam. In addition, welcome to our 2 newest patrons, Quaris and Sören. And finally, thank you to all of my champions in the Hylian Knight tier over on Patreon, Joking Batman, Geek Mom, Lorulian Sheep, McToppler, and now, Quaris and Massimo. But anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.